Here at home and in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Hadassah Women's Zionist Organization of America, a book compiled and edited by Stacey Battat and Ellen Yaski chronicles the stories of those individuals whose lives have been irrevocably and positively changed by their work with the organization that has had more than 1 million members and supporters. I recently spoke with Hadassah's Director of Public Relations in Israel, Barbara Sofer, and Stacey Battat about the book entitled Thin Threads, Real Stories of Hadassah, Life-Changing Moments.
The Thin Threads project we've had in publication for 5 years. It's a series of books about life-changing moments, and we call them Thin Threads because sometimes we connect in the most fragile times in our lives, or moments of miracles that are incredible. And when I approached Hadassah to do this, my mentor was actually somebody who helped me compile other stories for the Thin Threads book series, but Hadassah was her passion, and she's a big donor to Hadassah. And we connected to doing this fundraising project for Hadassah for their centennial. So we had been collecting their stories for over 2 years, hundreds of stories that we narrowed down to 100, actually 101, one for the next 100 years, that are all these medical miracles, miracles of friendship, Holocaust survivors and their stories of how they then became women leaders in their own rights to do some of the things that established this incredible Hadassah medical organization. And I've been amazed with this journey. It's just taken me brand new places for the new connections I've made with people and my Zionism.
Impressive.
So it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey.
Now, Barbara, you're known to many of our viewers as a prize-winning author, but you're also the Israel Director of Public Relations for Hadassah. Tell us what inspired you to take part in this project.
I'm the story person. People who read my column know that I like a good story. I write a good story. I got into working for Hadassah because I was asked a decade ago, or even a little more than a decade ago, to collect the stories of Hadassah here for leadership in the United States. Remember that Hadassah has 330,000 members in the United States. We're talking about Hadassah, the Women's Zionist Organization of America, and we still have that Z in our name. I got involved in writing the stories and telling the stories. I got involved with the top-tier world press that was interested in telling the stories, particularly during the Intifada. And my own story, the story I tell in the book, is a story, a personal story, not somebody else's story, that took place during the Intifada. And I wanted to contribute, of course. I mean, anyone who's been in an organization knows how hard it is to get people to stick together for a year or 2 or 5 or 10, and people are very happy to celebrate a short anniversary, like a 5th year or 10th year. We're talking about 100 years of women passing down the important legacy of practical Zionism from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. We have 5 generations of women who got very little credit for the amazing work that they did. And their story, as much as we tell it, is still an untold story in the world, partly because it's a story of women.
Stacey, with all these beautiful stories, and there are so many rich stories, this fabric of Hadassah for the last 100 years, what kind of criteria did you use to choose life-defining moments?
I would say not all of them are life-defining for their in a medical or in a health way or in becoming a transition in life, as much as they change someone's perspective. And if they were varied stories from, ranging, as I mentioned, to, for example, somebody from an orphan from the Holocaust who went to a youth Aliyah village and met Henrietta Zold, and because of that became one of the first Hadassah nurses. Those were some of the older stories. And there are stories from women from 90 to 101 in this book, as well as younger stories of medical miracles, people being here and having a friendship connect that changed their lives in some shifted way, perspective on their lives, or someone who's actually at a convention in America stood up and ended up giving a kidney to somebody because they were looking for a kidney donor, and they ended up being a match. And they still claim their claim to fame is that this is a Hadassah kidney, and they created a friendship that is unbelievable in families to come in their legacy.
This sounds like a wonderful book. I'm looking forward to reading it. I know our readers will be as well. Barbara Sofer, Stacey Battat, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about this wonderful book.
Thank you, and thank you to all potential readers.
Thank you.
The IVA weather team tells us we can expect clear to partly cloudy conditions and no significant change in conditions tomorrow.